Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, dudes. Bobby, how are you?
Exquisite.
Awesome. I want to thank Deej for inviting us to be a part of this awesome two-part show she's doing. I love it. I love this subject. Bobby's a little, skeptic. So
I'm more afraid of my wife than I am a ghost. Let's put it that way.
I love it. I love it. Our guests are awesome. They're super cool. I watched Deej's. I hope everybody else did. It was awesome. So thank you, Deej. And hello to everybody that's joining us. You dudes rock. Bobby, I missed you this weekend.
I know. Work.
I also want to thank Mike Mallyman for hosting an amazing get-together. It was awesome.
Sorry I missed it. What a great group that was.
Great group.
It was really. People. It was awesome. Just to see it and watch it and see the finds. It was really cool.
It was awesome.
I know. Chris has been busting my you-know-whats for like 2 days now.
Yeah, he was awesome. It was awesome to meet him and Kim and everybody else. I dug with before, but it's always great to see them because they're from all over. We don't get to see each other all the time. So it's just great. And Mike does that all the time, and I just love it.
It's awesome.
It's great. So hello to everybody who's joining us, and thank you. We're not going to say an individual hello tonight because we have special guests.
Lots of them.
So let's start bringing them in and hear their amazing stories, and then we'll bring in another special guest. Sound good?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Here we go. Let's bring in. Awesome. We have Damon and Sue from the Adirondack Park Paranormal Society. They're co-managers and they rock. Thank you for joining us. Whoop, whoop. Look, I got the red light going. Super cool.
Love
and
it.
Then we have Sandy. Thank you for joining us, Sandy. You do multiple things here. You're a medium.
I'm all over the place.
Paranormal investigator and a podcast host.
Yeah. And Bobby, don't worry. It's okay to be skeptical. I'm skeptical too, and I'm immersed in all of this.
We love the skepticism. Honestly, it keeps us honest.
I'm a scientific person.
Yes, which is good. Which is very good.
But I don't mind being proven wrong either. So
why you got to prove what you're pointing me for? What? Stop it.
He's just mad because I agree with her about.
He agrees that sometimes bending the rules a little bit in order to to find out stuff is okay.
Yeah.
See,
definitely.
Yeah,
I do it myself.
You missed the backstage conversation where he was influencing her illegal activities on investigations.
It's true. I heard it.
Hey, if she's got a bail fund, it's cool.
Dues haven't been collected for this year yet.
No, not yet.
That's what my dues are for. That's what my dues are for.
That's awesome.
So please tell us a little bit about each of you and how you got started, what you do, and what you're planning to do. Do you work together as groups and things like that? So Sandy, do you want to start off here?
Sure, I'll start. Well, I have had experiences my entire life, except I didn't really understand that they were experiences. A lot of people who have experiences from an early age and don't realize that that's what's going on tend to think that they are just maybe introverts. Maybe they have great imaginations and maybe a little bit of, you know, the outcast type of person. And I didn't realize that I had some gifts until maybe about 3 years ago. And I still didn't know what to do with them at the time. It's sort of a work in progress for me, a development. But I've always been totally fascinated with the paranormal. Ghost hunters back in the day was huge for me. It sort of got me to the point where I understood that it was okay to be interested in all of this. I can go even as far back as In Search of back in the 70s. I'm a child of the 70s.
Me too.
And so, yeah, and those were the kind of shows that were available at the time. And I would just soak up anything I could find. So, what I do is I'm an empath, and empaths are people who take on, for good or bad, the emotions, the feelings, the senses of other people, other animals, nature, the earth. And we take that on. Some of us are healers, some of us more so than others. And then I also have some other abilities where I can touch objects and get feelings from them and ideas from them. Energy, I can read the energy of them. I get visions, I get names in my head, I get little stories in my head of what I might encounter with an upcoming investigation. I tend to just kind of know things a lot of the time. Things will just come to me, and it really helps me with investigating. And Bobby is a scientific person, and I kind of am too. I kind of try to take the scientific approach and personal experiences and sort of marry them together to get the whole story and the whole feel of a situation. I can read energy, so I can tell if there's a male or a female leaning energy in the area and what that could mean. So all that kind of stuff. And I was friends with Dennis Webster, our founding member, for several years, and sort of slowly came into this. We did an internet ghost hunting show together last year. And he asked me if I wanted to join this team and form this team with him. And I said, sure. That's how I met Sue and Damon. And we all just really work well together. Our two teams have done investigations together. We've become friends. We have a great chemistry together. And so it's sort of two separate teams, but we work together a lot, not just physically, but in the realm of throwing back and forth ideas with each other, research, all kinds of things like that. And then, of course, I have my podcast that I do, the Sandy and Toddcast, with my best friend Todd, who lives in Wisconsin. I'm in New York. And we do a paranormal podcast. We just started an empath podcast as well. So, as I said, I'm always busy. My whole life is busy.
Busy is good.
Yeah, yeah.
I do have a question for you guys, though.
Sure.
What I mean, and you can all answer this together individually, but what was like your one kind of aha moment where it just
Yeah.
We just answered this a couple days ago.
I know. They were on my podcast.
As
They
an
were
adult,
watching your questions, Sandy.
as an adult or as a child?
Either the one moment or two, whichever.
Yeah.
That one moment that makes you realize that there's something else out there.
Yep.
Yeah.
As a child, actually in the same house I'm in now, my family was all downstairs. We were all watching TV, and we heard footsteps upstairs, and it came out of one room, and it was dragging something down the hall, and went into another room, and then went into the center room and stopped. We were all downstairs. The dog was at our feet, so there was nobody upstairs.
Yeah, that would do it for me.
Yeah.
Well, there was somebody up there.
I not physically, but there was that was my my aha moment that something else goes on out there.
What about you guys?
Go ahead, Sandy.
Oh, okay. I guess for me, that I knew that I had something going on was about 10 years ago. There is a huge old insane asylum in my area that Dennis Webster actually wrote a book about. and they were giving tours. And I went in there with my husband to tour it. I'd always wanted to get in there. They didn't really allow people in there. It was private. And we toured it, and we walked into a room that had a bunch of paintings in it. And as soon as I walked into the room, I felt this really heavy pressure on my chest, and I couldn't breathe well. And I told my husband, get me out of here right now. I had no idea what was going on. And as soon as he led me out the door, I started to feel better. And come to find out, all of those paintings were actually paintings that residents had done over the years. And they had been saved and put on display in this room. And that sort of made me think that maybe something was going on more than just, I have a great imagination, because I had no idea what that was. And then for me, the real ghosty aha moment, I think, was about a year and a half ago. We were investigating a mansion, and it was for our internet show. And we had locked the door behind us because we're in a busy part of the city and we didn't want people walking in. So the door had 3 locks on it. The mansion was from the 1800s. And we all did our investigation. And as we walked back at the end of it into the great hallway and began to do our closing prayer, the door actually opened, and one of the people who was in charge of the mansion walked in. We had not been anywhere near that door, and somehow that door unlocked itself. There were 3 locks on that door. And our aha moment was, wait a minute, we were all together all night. There was no way that anybody could get in this house. Absolutely no way. And there was an unlocked door for us. So that was a big aha moment for me. Like, wow, that's really something. That's it takes a lot of strength to be able to do something like that.
Yeah.
Without a physical body.
Yeah,
So,
that's definitely something. Definitely.
Yeah.
And Damon and Sue, how about you? How did you get started, and what is your group about?
So I started the group in 2008 under a different name. And actually, you were asking what was our aha moment. This is my aha moment. A couple years beforehand, I was actually cleaning. Actually, one of the places we went to investigate that's been on our bucket list forever. It's an old tuberculosis sanatorium. It was converted into a business management type facility for years and years, up until just recently. It was purchased privately. Well, we were cleaning one of the buildings, and the building was there was wards originally it was wards on the main floor, and there was nurses' quarters and offices up on the second floor. The second floor had been completely boarded off when I was there working as a custodial on the overnight shift, graveyard shift, to throw complete irony into the mix. Completely boarded off, no way to get into the upstairs at all, except for there's a massive 3-inch anchor chain wrapped around a 2x4 post with a padlock. That's how you got up in the upstairs. They boarded off the stairwell. So it was me and one other guy. We're the only people on the property besides the security guy who was doing patrol around the property. We're cleaning, and now, mind you, to preface this, this is mischief night. It was October 30th, and it was probably around, I'd say 11:30ish or so. And we're cleaning, and I come out of one of the side wings of the building. The building is it's massive, and there's just wings. Kind of think of an old 50s type hospital ward or mental ward type layout. That's pretty much what we had in that building. And I come off from one of the office areas. They basically turned into a whole bunch of cubicles. And I was asking my guy about something, and I turned the corner and realized that he wasn't answering me. He just looked pale as all get out and was staring at the top of the stairwell with his mouth dropped and his hand shaking, holding the broom, the whole shooting match. I'm like, "What's up, dude?" And he's like, it couldn't get a word out of his mouth, and all of a sudden I hear footsteps going up and down the hallway upstairs. Next thing you know, the door's rattling. There's no way to get in the building, no way to get in the top floor besides through us or past us. And there's also a light on upstairs, and there's no power on upstairs. So I'm radioing in security. Hey, we think we might have somebody in the building. I was thinking it was kids, mischief night. They walked the entire building. They checked every single door and window, any access way that could possibly get to upstairs. Nothing. That was my aha moment. And it was literally a year or so later that a team went to go investigate said property, never lasted more than about 3 hours on property before they left the property scared.
Yeah, it is.
And I went,
very
okay,
good.
well, I guess I need to figure this out on my own. So I started my own team. And then 2011, I rebranded because we had our anagram was similar to another group in the area, and they got a little upset about that. 2014 is when I met Sue. We did a major investigation, which actually we just talked about it on Sandy's podcast on Sunday.
You had put a blurb out on Facebook.
Yep, I put a blurb out asking
for if anybody
yeah.
had any experiences. Oh well, we can say it at
at
the Hotel Saranac,
Yep.
and it was in the process of being renovated.
Yep.
And I had worked there for 8 years, so I said, "Well, I'll answer this guy because I've had lots of experience." So I kind of gave him some of the stuff that had happened to me while I was there, and he ended up calling me, and we talked for an hour and a half, and then he said, "Do you want to come to the investigation?" Hell's yes.
I should preface this before I started doing background checks on my members.
That's funny.
I've been there ever since.
You guys ever have you guys ever done any in Jersey?
No, we haven't. We haven't quite got down that far yet, but we know there's a few. What is it? Is it Waverly Hills or is it Rolling Hills? Is down there. Waverly.
Rolling Hills. Rolling Hills is Waverly's I think in Kentucky.
Or no, Eastern State Penitentiary is what I'm thinking of.
Oh yeah,
Eastern State.
yeah.
That's the
Me
big
too.
name.
There's only one place in Jersey I've ever been where I actually was in the parking lot that kind of creeped me out a little bit. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, a few of those older paranormal shows like Ghost Hunter stuff like that actually I think went there. It's actually an old mental hospital called Greystone.
I went there.
Ghost Hunters went there.
Oh
Yep.
yes,
I
I've
went
heard
there
this.
and I charged my camera fully.
Ghost Lab went there too.
And the first building I trespassed into, don't tell anybody.
She loves
No,
you already.
Oh,
She loves you already, Stu does.
Jeez,
The first
Aldra's just
one,
like
my
us,
battery-
Sue.
My battery drained. I couldn't take any pictures.
I actually used to eat my lunch every day right in the parking lot. That's where I
Oh
took
my
my break
gosh.
every
That's
day.
crazy.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
Is that why
love
my
a couple
battery
of the
drained?
old
'Cause you were
schools.
there?
That's possible. No, a couple of the old school shows actually have gone there. I know the original Ghost Hunters way back
Yep,
right.
with the Roto-Rooter intro, and I know Ghost Lab had hit there at one point.
Yep.
The way we operate our team and Sandy's team is almost similar. We operate it kind of in the style of the way Ghost Lab does their investigations. We try to scientifically disprove or prove, debunk, whatever you want to call it, everything that goes on, and then after that, then we'll start dabbling into, well, it might be paranormal. We try to go through and just kind of debunk everything right off the bat, so we can basically say to the client, okay, we haven't done a mental health background check on you, but here's the other stuff that might be going on that might be a problem or you might want to fix. We had one client, they were literally half a block away from a cell phone tower and couldn't understand why they were getting that uneasy feeling and feeling like they were having a whole bunch of pressure. It was EMF poisoning. So that's
you stepped out of the car and
literally we stepped out of the car and took a baseline. The K2 was spiking at its almost max, so it was, that's the kind of stuff we try to do is rule out everything scientifically and technologically first before we can say, okay, there might be something else here.
The issue with the washing machine.
Yeah, the washing machine. The lady had an issue with the washing machine, and I used to work for a rent-own company, and we used to sell those and rent those out on a regular basis, and the motherboards and those things would crash after about a week or so, especially if they're running hot loads. It would steam up and cook the motherboard, and that's exactly what was going on. It was turning on by itself, and so it was a recall on that particular thing. So I try to, if it's like they say it's a certain thing that's happening, like a TV is kicking on or something like that, I usually will, I'll use the Google machine and find out, okay, is there any recalls? Are there any issues with this particular model having this issue? Even before we walk in the building, so that way we have a kind of an idea of what we're looking at.
Yeah. It's important to sort of look at both sides together instead of just saying, oh, I'm only going to rely on scientific equipment, or I only want to hear about your personal experiences, because it really takes both. I'm my team is very much like Sue and Damon's team in that we do try to debunk everything that we can first before we just go into something, believing,
Yeah, we
oh my
try not to
gosh,
go
it's
with
a
the
ghost.
blinders of
Yeah.
we need to find the ghost, Scoob. Let's go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Kind of
exactly.
a process of elimination type of thing.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
yeah,
rule
exactly.
stuff out before we start going to the, okay, it could be in the paranormal realm.
And there's so many things that it could be other than paranormal. You really have to be careful with that and make sure that you're thoroughly debunking as much as you possibly can.
We have gone into homes and found, okay, I know you think your home is having poltergeist or whatever activity, and we found out what the reason was, and it was something very legitimate, and it wasn't paranormal. And we've had people get mad because they wanted it to be paranormal.
We've got horrible reviews because they're like, oh, well, I know my dead husband's sister's cousin's brother father is sitting over here in the next room, and we go in going, yeah, maybe you should not have 6 Wi-Fi routers sit next to your head while you're sleeping at night. This might be a problem, and that's we try as much as we don't want to do private residences. Sometimes, it's a thing, but we find that with the private residences, we get a lot of not so happy clients at the end of the night because they want to believe, they want to have, okay, I know it's my dead father. I know it's my dead husband. I know he's here. You guys are full of crap because you're telling me he's not here now. And we're like, we can't just produce him on a dime.
Yeah. It's very difficult. We don't do many private residences. Ironically, we do have one coming up on the 30th. It's a private residence. It's a house that is in the neighboring county to me. And it was built in 1790, I believe, around the 1790s. And
the gears already turning in your head.
And so I actually, if you guys want to hear a quick story, this happened to me just today. I get these visions and these names that come into my head. Now, I don't know anything about the man who lives in this house, and I didn't even know the house existed because it's set way off. I know the road it's on, but it's set way off into the woods. Didn't even know it existed. Knew nothing about this family. And today, this name came into my head. And usually if I lock on to something, the thought, I start thinking about an upcoming investigation, that's when things start to roll for me. And the name came into my head, and I reached out to Dennis because he arranged the investigation. I said, Dennis, by any chance, could you see if the owner of the house is related to or knows or knew somebody by this particular name? And he said, sure, I'll ask. And about an hour later, he came back to me and said, well, this was the man's wife who died. And so, yeah. And so I picked up on that name, and Dennis is like, I'm blown away by this. But that sort of gives us a great starting point, because then we can go in with a name, and this is how we work. We'll go in with a name or an idea. I also had a few other things that popped into my mind about a week ago that we're going to look into too. Sue reached out to us and said, check this place on the property. So we go in with all of that, and then that's when we can use our scientific approach to sort of see if we can disprove the things that are going on in the house. But it's always a great idea to use both. It's a great example of using both to be able to come up with a good conclusion in the end.
And that's actually where our sub team, we'll call it a sub team, branched off, whatever you want to call it. Relic Seekers came into play. I actually reached out. It was a year or so ago. I saw a video on Facebook or YouTube or something when somebody had pulled a talisman out of the ground, and it was clearly a protection piece that was buried. A specific corner of the property. It's there. It was there for a reason. It was certain religions and practices have this belief that if you bless this medallion and you bury it, it protects your home and your family and all this other stuff. And somebody pulled it out and like, oh, check this out. This will be, I put this in my case, and I'm like, oh God, put it back. But then I'm thinking to myself, okay, well, this is one aspect of the paranormal investigations we haven't delved into, which is what's under the earth. So I actually reached out on, I forget what group it was originally, and somebody referred me to Ray from Michigan Metal Detectors, and I reached out to him and I said, look, I'm looking for something that'll go deep enough I can find, old cast iron metal power lines or water lines, anything like that, so we can kind of rule out some of this other stuff. But in the same token, I want to know if there's potentially artifacts that might have something attached to it that might be on the property, which
Some
might be
residuals.
causing, some residual energy. I don't know if anybody's ever watched, what's it called? Honda Collector. Used to be on
Yes.
Sci-Fi or
Yes.
Travel Channel, something like that. The same concept, everything has a little bit of something attached to it. So that was my thought with that. And then that kind of snowballed into this whole entire other group we've designed that, now we're doing environmental cleanup and metal detecting and, property peg searches and, lost jewelry searches and stuff like that. So we've literally gone from a team of 5 people in a 4-camera DVR system to what do we got now? 17 people.
Mhm.
And
They
more
don't.
equipment
They
that I
don't
can throw
all
in
show
my
up on
car.
investigations. They're not all investigators, but they're all part of the team. They all have their own job that
Yeah,
they do.
we have a separate team just for research and review. We have a separate team just for like the haunted house events that we do. We do fundraisers for local charities with with our haunted house, which is actually coming up.
This weekend.
This weekend.
next
So we do a lot more than just hunt for ghosts. And that's kind of where we came about and where we're at now.
I think that's awesome, but I'm curious, and I'm sure other people are thinking, I love the metal detecting involvement in it,
Yep.
but have you ever thought about bringing Sandy, the medium, to communicate, to find out where the treasure's hidden?
Funny you should mention that. we did
I
a
would.
We did a joint investigation.
Yeah.
we did a collaboration down near where Sandy's at. And we actually had Sandy on property while we were doing some of the stuff, and she did kind of nudge us in certain directions, which we didn't really find any treasure per se. Our issue was they had just redone the roof the winter beforehand or the fall beforehand, so all we were picking up was
Nails.
nails,
Yeah,
screws,
screws.
and debris. I mean, we did find a couple nice, beautiful, pristine square nails. We found a patent plate off an old fuel tank,
Mhm.
and we found one other thing too. I forget what the heck it was,
But there was
nothing
there
like
was major power lines going right through the property.
that was the
and-
other issue too. Is
and
we
a
had
major water line, which that kind of
they had a water line going to the old schoolhouse, and they had very shallow dug conduit going to an outside spotlight, which lit the church up, and then same type of shallow conduit going out to the schoolhouse for its power. So it was very hard to get. The whole ground was it was like just one massive hot rock. I mean, even with the pinpointer, it was tweaking out, anywhere on the property. So it was very hard to distinguish anything from just the charged earth. And then we had on top of it the well pump was leaking out to the ground. So then you had this on top of electrical going through it was just a hot mess for
and the
detecting.
electric fence
Yeah.
too.
Oh yeah, the electric fence. Can't forget
Don't
the
forget
electric
that.
fence. Yeah.
All right, guys. So I have a picture. Oh, go ahead. Did you want to say
Oh,
something?
no. Go ahead.
All right. So one time we have another guest, but before we bring him up, I just want to share a couple pictures. I did some bottle digging. I took pictures of the bottles and jars. I made the video, edited the picture. And then like a week later, I'm watching the video again, because that's what I do. And I see something in the picture. So let me pull it up and see if you could see anything here.
Okay.
So this is just mason jars, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So then I edited the picture and boom. I was in my house alone. And you see
Yeah,
Yeah.
figure there?
yeah.
It's
Gentleman
like
in
there's
the,
something. Yeah.
there's a gentleman in the suit.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right. There's no gentleman in my house.
1920s.
I don't know this gentleman.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that
so
totally
that
looks 20s
that
era.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
old
kind of
is-
freaked me out.
How old is your house, Audra?
The house is from the 50s,
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
but I don't know.
I was gonna
I
say, how
haven't
old-
reresearched what was here before that.
Oh,
but
that's my next question. How old is the property?
I was going to say
'Cause
that
sometimes
would have
it's
been
the
the
Yeah.
property,
question.
not the
Is
building.
what's the property?
or
'Cause
is it the bottle? I mean, the jar, because this would have been behind me. I don't
It
know.
could have been the jar. It could have been the property. It depends on what was the jar. Obviously from a different property. I'm assuming.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, old
So
part.
it could have been attached to the jar. It could be something on your property itself. That's a hard one to.
Yeah, you'd have
to
to
discern.
you'd have to do some research.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
on
didn't
the-
even notice
on
it at first. till
on the
like a week
property
or so.
itself, and
Yeah.
see what pops from there.
Yeah.
A lot of times, because the earth, and you'll hear a lot of people talk about limestone too.
Oh, yeah?
Certain rocks, certain parts of the land, if it's near water, tend to have that sort of paranormal conduit type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
that's very much what it could be.
Yeah. Well,
And
that's
Sandy-
actually the case at Hotel Saranac.
Mhm.
The Hotel Saranac is actually built on the footprint of an old high school in the area, and some of the spirits that are in Hotel Saranac are not native to Hotel Saranac. They're native to the high school that was there prior to Hotel Saranac.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Because the basement is exactly the same. They didn't change the basement. They literally built on top of the original form of the high school.
yeah.
Oh.
Wow, it's almost like having a cellar hole underneath a building.
Yes.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yes,
I mean,
and
the basement
that-
and the first floor are all wrapped in limestone too, so it
Yeah.
just kind of makes it a big old superconductor,
Yeah.
so to speak.
So cool. I love this. I love this, guys. Awesome.
Audra, I'm surprised you slept in the same house with that jar after that.
I know, right?
Who is this guy in my house?
See, I would be jumping right in and doing research at
Yeah.
that point.
Me too. I'm trying.
Sue would be
Sue
holding
and
the jar, going, "Okay, who are you?
It's on my
Sue and
Tell me your
to-do
name."
list.
So when I get made fun of all the time by Damon and Todd because of the things that we do, because we're not that afraid of it. We kind of go head first into these
I thought you
things.
said
So.
you're not that normal.
No, we're not that
No,
normal.
well,
That's
we're not
okay.
that normal
You're
either.
here?
None of us are normal.
Well, we're kindred spirits. It's all good. But no, and Damon has seen it more than once. I'll hear something from somebody, and it's just a passing statement, and all of a sudden my brain is
She's
spinning,
off and running.
and he'll see me typing, or and he goes, "Are you researching?" No. We're in the middle of a meeting, Sue. Sorry. Just a second.
Can someone explain what this photo is here, Sandy?
Sure. This is that story that I told you about the door unlocking during an investigation in the mansion. This was taken by me the time before. I wasn't actually there for ghost hunting that night. I was there for a private dinner party, and they sort of let us wander around. This was taken about 5:30 in the afternoon on the second floor, and I did not see this figure standing there when I took the pictures. I was just taking pictures because it's an old mansion and they're in the midst of renovating it and trying to get it back to its previous glory. It's the Rucker Mansion number 3 in Utica, New York. And I was standing in one spot in this room, and I kind of pivoted and took several pictures, one after the other, but I didn't move. I was the only one in the room. And when I got home that night, I saw this. And the interesting thing about this is that the picture right before and the picture right after were not blurry at all. They were very, very clear. And I purposely made myself stop because I wanted nice pictures of the room each time. I wasn't clicking as I moved. And we believe that this could possibly be the shadow figure of one of the owners of the home, Roscoe Conkling. If you notice, it sort of looks a little bit like period dress of the 1800s, and it almost looks like a top hat on the top. And so Dennis thinks this is probably one of the best shadow figure pictures he's ever captured. And this is what I've ever
picture
captured.
of Dennis with a lampshade on his head.
And
I know.
this actually, I sent them a picture of Russell Conklin that I had done some research on,
Mhm.
and he was wearing he was very prim and proper, and he liked to be very flamboyant and dress in clothes that you wouldn't find normally in that town. He would
Yeah.
special order his clothes. He would have them special tailored and everything else. But he was tall. He had slender legs, and he loved to wear the slender pants to make him look even taller. He loved the way he gave off a certain presence whenever he walked into a room. Everybody knew he was there. But he wore the long coats. He would wear the interesting hats.
Him and Patella get along famously.
So yeah, so
it would fit.
Yeah.
Very cool.
It would.
Very cool
Yeah,
shot
yeah.
there.
I was talk about creepy. I was pretty creeped out by that myself when I saw it. It was about 1 o'clock in the morning. I was laying in bed just going through my pictures that night, and I saw it, and I just stopped, and I told my husband, could you look at this for a second? And I said, okay, I'm gonna wait until tomorrow to message Dennis about it, because it was 1 a.m. But I couldn't even sleep that night. I was so excited because I had no idea.
No way I'd be
Yeah.
sleeping. No
Yeah.
way.
Can you imagine if you guys were doing this, say 30, 40 years ago? Remember the old days when you would have to take like your film to Photomac? Can you imagine the guy at Photomac looking at these pictures going, what the?
What is going on?
Well,
I know.
and that funny you mentioned that, because I've started getting hooked on a show on Discovery Plus. It's the Holzer Files. Is that the one?
Yep.
And they literally are going. They'll go through the old Holzer cases, and a lot of them are 35 millimeter.
Reel to reels.
Reels and 35 millimeter. Glossy photos of that kind of stuff. So it's a lot of these investigators back in the day, and Dennis could tell you. I know Bernadette. I mean, when she started back then, I'm sure she probably had her own dark room and stuff like that, or she had a trusted person she'd bring her film to.
Yeah.
All right, guys. So we have another guest to join us now.
Okay.
Yay!
Yay!
He is ready. He has
Time
some
for the
great
hard-hitting
stories. So let's all welcome Brandon of Alabama Dirt Digger.
Hi, Brandon.
Hey, Brandon.
Welcome.
How y'all doing?
Hello. Good.
Doing
How are
good?
you?
Doing well.
All right.
So, thank you, Brandon. Always
No
good to
problem.
see
Thank you for
dude.
having me on.
And you shared a little bit of some of your stories, which were awesome, dude.
Yeah, I live the property my house is on goes back to the 1840s, 1830s when this little town was founded. And my granddaddy moved this house here in the 50s, and he set it up here in this spot. And he lived here all through then, had my mom in this house and all this stuff. And he would always tell the story. And later on in life, he showed me we had a spotlight or a street light down the road in another person's yard. And about at least 4 times a week, you could go outside anywhere, and it would be later at night, anywhere from 10, 11, 12 o'clock, and just sit there and watch. And you would see somebody, and it would be a shadow figure with a hat on, walk under this light. And we would see this all the time. I mean, it was just common in my family to know that was going to happen. And later on, when I started detecting, I found tons of musket balls there, silver coins. My granddaddy plowed the fields and worked the fields in, but no telling what it was back in the day. But we watched that, regular around here. It was just known in our family that something weird was going on there. Now, my granddaddy wouldn't use the word ghost. He was more of a guy. It was either good or bad.
Yeah.
But
my parents were the same way.
Yeah.
Did you say musket balls and silver coins?
Oh yeah.
What was the address?
Some seated coins out there.
And the coordinates.
What was that address again?
Can we get the UTMs for that?
Going on there, a little war or a battle, skirmish.
I'm sure.
But yeah, that's just one of the stories that we've had around here in my little town. My house, there's a picture of me, and I was telling Audra earlier, back when the first touchscreen phones came out, I had a picture of me laying on the couch. It was probably 09, 08. And I was laying on the couch, and my wife it was Christmas time. My wife took a picture of me. And I was looking through the photos about 2 months later. And in the background, you can see the perfect silhouette of a little boy. You could see his little bob haircut, and his pants went just below the knees with his long socks. You could see every bit of that, the outline of it. You couldn't see facial features, but you could see where the eyes was and the nose and stuff darker than the rest of the face. No doubt of what it was. I mean,
Wow.
In the hotel.
Spot first and showed me, and I about hit the floor.
Wow.
That's crazy.
But yeah, just a lot of activity here. You know, all the neighbors has seen or heard something, and it's not uncommon for somebody, you know, once or twice a year to tell you a crazy story about what they've seen on their property.
Brandon, does everybody kind of take it in stride down there because it's so common that, you know, everybody sort of is
some
used
people
to it?
does. You know, the older bunch thinks it's either good or bad, and the younger bunch hollering ghosts, and some people just don't believe and think it's all in your head. But
Right.
you know,
You get that mix anywhere, though.
Here, they do know that something is up around here.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And actually, it's kind of similar. Like where I know a couple of you guys went up to Diggstock. That's only about an hour and a half from where I'm at right now, and it's not uncommon for that to be a thing. There was so many battles and skirmishes that went on in those fields, and even right where I'm at, it was a thing. So it's not uncommon for those types of reports. It's all over the North Country up here. You have Battle of 1812, Revolutionary War, Spanish American War,
up and down the Lake Champlain on both sides, the New York and the Vermont side.
French and Indian War. I mean, you name it. It's happened. This is a major port of entry, in between the St. Lawrence Seaway and Lake Champlain. And
there were several forts, too, including Fort High that
they pulled. There was a lot of War of 1812 stuff pulled out of there. So
and that's there was an entire battle. The Battle of Plattsburgh took place during the War of 1812, right about where you guys were detecting.
Yeah, actually, the hotel I stayed at, the people that worked there told me that actually used to be a farm field.
Not surprising.
It was all farm.
Yeah.
My grandmother grew up in that area, and her father had a huge farm, which eventually they sold it off to little pieces. But yeah, he had thousands of acreage up there, but it was all farmland up there.
It's gorgeous land up there too. You know.
It was.
It's really interesting how the metal detecting links in.
Yep.
Oh, for sure.
One time with my old metal detecting group, we were hiking in the woods detecting, and it was a hot August day. It was humid, super humid. We were sweating just walking. And one second, it felt like we walked into a freezer for about 2 seconds, and then it was hot again.
Yeah.
We had the same issue when we were up behind the shop. Yeah.
And then my digging partner found a silver spill of Real.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, and like we said on Deej's channel too, as long as you're going in there with respect and you're saying, "Hey, look, we're here to tell your story. We're here to preserve the history." You know, things happen, and it's usually positive things. You know, if you go in there, look, I see a lot of these channels, and it just makes me cringe. They're like, "Oh, we found this, and I'm keeping it," or whatever. Instead of giving it to the historical societies or putting it back where it belongs.
It's funny you mentioned that because actually, I'm off tomorrow, and I'm actually driving almost 2 hours to bring a piece to. I have a meeting with the committee for a museum for the historical society that they wanted me to come there, and I was like, "Well, it's almost 2 hours. Can I mail it to you?" No, we want to hear the story. Yeah. I was like, "All right, I'm there."
Well, yeah, because that's another piece to the bigger story of whatever that artifact is.
Yep.
I just bought 1860s house, and my husband is kind of fiddling around, finding old pieces of metal around. And we've discovered there's still the old foundation to the original carriage house. And he was all excited. He collects bottles. That's his thing. It's always been his thing. And so he was finding these old bottles, and then he comes up to the house. He goes, "Honey, I'm so excited." He goes, "Look at this bottle. It's so pretty. It's got it's blue. It's got all these bumps on the bottom. I've never seen anything like this." I said, "Where did you find it?" "On the corner of the building. Actually, I had to move a rock and pull it out from underneath the corner." I said, "Put it back." He goes, "What?" I said, "Come on, let's go back. Let's go back and put it back. It's there for a reason." And it was on that particular corner, and it fit in there perfectly. He said, "Can we find out what else is in there?" I said, "No. We're going to respect what's there. Since we live here, we are not going to disturb it."
Yep.
And we both said an apology. We said a little prayer.
Yep.
And I said, "If you guys don't mind, you can show us whatever you want, but this we will not touch."
Yep.
And from that moment on, he literally gave it a wide berth, and he's been finding all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
See, that's what happens. You gave
Karma.
there.
See?
Yeah.
Good karma.
Positive, good energy. Is
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
and that. Like I said, that was kind of one of the ones that gave me that aha moment about bringing metal detecting into the paranormal research end of it is that one video, even though it wasn't my most favorite video because I wasn't really approving of how they went about their method and them keeping the find the way they did. It should have really gone back to the land, but. When they pulled that protection talisman out of the ground, I'm like, that's another tie to what we do.
Yeah.
That was kind of when Deej and I were first started talking about stuff, and that was one of our topics of conversation was that particular video. And then that was when she talked to me about her cellar hole experience, and then the mason jar of creepiness that she unearthed.
We told us the thing, put it back.
Yeah, just put it back. As long as you respect the land and what's around you.
As she was showing it, and Damon called me and goes, "You want to take a look at this?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, no, that's got a bad juju. She's got to put that back wherever she found it."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's just like in anything. I mean, it doesn't matter what hobby it is. There's got to be an etiquette and kind of there's unwritten rules.
Yes, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
You got to have that respect and the boundaries. Like Sandy said in part one, is you got to establish your boundaries with whatever is there, not just living.
And respect theirs. Theirs.
Exactly. Yeah. And you go in and you say, "This is what I want to do. I'd like to tell your story. If you're willing to let me tell your story, you need to show me where I need to go."
Yep.
And
I think too, bottom line is that relic seeking, relic hunting, ghost hunting, everything is tied together from history.
Yep.
We all go in because we have a love and an appreciation of history. And when you respect that history, then I think it comes back to you tenfold. And regardless of which of the two that you do or both, I think that it really helps to go in with a respect for that history and the land and the situation.
And that showed proof positive with when Mark was telling a story in Deej's part one, where he was telling us about, he went to this place 3 times. First time was, second time was a little bit better than the third time when he showed, that gratitude and ultimate respect. That's when he started popping hits left, right, and sideways. Yeah. And that's the same thing with me, like if I'm an investigation, and I use dowsing rods as part of my methodology after we've kind of ruled everything out otherwise. And we always back up dowsing rod work with some sort of electronic device or something we could firmly say this is matching the dowsing rod's answers. So either K2 or REM pod or whatever. So, and Sue and Sandy can both attest to this. If I don't open up with, "I'm here for the greater good. I'm here to tell your story, to speak your history, to with the utmost respect for all that is great and the white light and all that stuff." If I don't open up with that, I'll get some yes or no answers, but I'm not going to get what I get if I open it up with the opening prayer I give and respect I give, where those things are just singing and I'm getting answers before they even come out of my mouth. Sandy can attest to that. We were upstairs at the Russia Union Church, and before they were even getting the answers out of their mouth, it was just flowing, and we were getting just such a great response. And that's the same thing with metal detecting. When we were doing a practice run behind one of our members' properties, we went in we did an opening prayer. We were very respectful. We're here to tell your story. and we were just popping left, right, and sideways on hits out in the woods. So it works in all realms of what we do. You know,
Hey,
show
if
the
you guys
respect
ever
and
come to
appreciation.
Jersey, to do one, me and Og, man, we'd love to see this,
Heck
huh?
yeah, I want to come.
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
I would
It's a
Absolutely.
bit of a
love it.
drive for us,
We
but
would-
we'll
we would
figure it
definitely
out.
look
Yeah,
you
for
guys
sure.
up.
I
Yeah.
actually went on a tour, a paranormal tour, a real one, at Eastern State Penitentiary.
Yeah.
It was
I
I
amazing.
love that place. I love that place. I went there many years ago, probably 12, 13 years ago, but I really want to get back there. Really want to get back there.
Yeah.
It's a great
Well,
place.
Sandy,
Amazing.
you're always welcome to come metal
Aw.
detecting with us.
Thank you. I'm
and
starting to get
Lauren.
into it now. So
I was
I
gonna
really
say,
Gotta
her
get
and her husband
with
are
the
doing
detector.
geocaching. It's only
We
it's the gateway
geocache.
drug to metal detecting is
I know, I know.
geocaching. So
I got two geocaching apps. I'm right on my phone, man.
Me
There
too.
we go. See?
We all have to go to Alabama to dig with Brandon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
He's got all the places down there.
we,
He's
we
got
gotta,
the
we gotta
Civil
go
War.
to Michigan and crash Deej's place too.
I know,
You
right?
while we're at it.
So I've only been to Alabama once. I was down in Opelika.
Oh yeah.
That's where my sister-in-law's from. So that's where my brother was getting married, and absolutely love it down there. Oh my God, you talk about Southern charm.
Mhm.
Her mom
Yeah.
was the greatest host that you could ever ask for, and food. Oh my God, you guys have the greatest food. Seriously.
That's
Oh
Yeah,
my
if you
God.
leave hungry, from here, it's wrong. They're gonna feed you, or you're gonna make us mad.
Oh, they did. They found out that I like food, and every time I turned around, somebody had something, and they were literally coming through the door saying, "Oh, I heard Andy's sister's here. Have you tried this?" No, but okay.
Try anything once.
They're always welcome to join us too.
Yeah, right.
The weight difference was when I got back to the plane. Yeah,
You know,
Some things are just worth it, though.
oh
Yeah.
my
It's
God,
true.
it was.
Very
It was.
true.
I
sure.
would go back down there in a heartbeat.
I'm going down. I want to go hit. I got to go hit Georgia and Alabama. I got a couple people in Georgia I want to dig with, and then Brandon down in Alabama.
Absolutely.
I'm going
I
down
was
there for the
lucky. I
biscuit.
got to dig with them all.
Right.
I'm going for the biscuits.
You
Oh,
gotta
you gotta go for the barbecue, honey. You
That
gotta
too.
go for the barbecue.
Oh,
That
yeah.
too. That's
We
it. We
ain't
can
got
dig.
nothing on them.
We can dig a little bit, but I'm going to eat. I'm
Yeah.
going
Yes.
to eat.
Well, Paul
Right.
in Georgia made me the amazing, oh my goodness, gravy and
Oh,
see, it's a good thing you got
man,
that
Catfish?
biscuits and gravy.
Oh, they're hush puppies and they're catfish. Oh my God.
It's a good
Well,
thing you
we're-
got this influx. It's a lot
we're
lighter, so you can eat
eventually-
with one hand while you're swinging with the other.
We're eventually going to retire down in Savannah, so I'm really excited about that. I can't wait.
I used to live an
Need
hour
to be
away
getting
from
permission to
Savannah
leave?
in Brunswick.
Oh, really? Oh,
Yes,
we
I
are
lived on
so in
Jekyll
love
Island.
with it.
It was
Oh,
gorgeous.
oh, it is. It's beautiful down there. We can't wait. And of course, it's a very haunted city, so I
Yep.
have to be
Look at
down
those
there.
Spanish forts.
So yeah,
Poor
Oh.
Dave.
Ooh.
yeah,
Poor
poor
guy. He's
Dave.
dragging his ass around all over the place.
You know, before I started metal detecting, I was an arrowhead hunter. I mean, I was an avid arrowhead hunter every day after work, any chance I got. And actually, I would hunt mounds. And there's I don't know if you can see it. Let's see, a piece of a bowl that I hadn't got it all
Oh.
together yet.
Yeah.
But I would always keep in my pocket pennies. I would keep copper pennies, and I'd make sure that they was copper pennies. And I wouldn't pick up an arrowhead without laying one of the pennies down as a trade in that copper, because copper during the
nice.
Mississippian era, and
That's
it
cool.
was
We were
pretty.
just talking about this on
Yes.
Deej's channel.
I would barter. I'd never, and I've got thousands. You can see behind me those cases.
Oh, wow.
One's full of coins, the rest is arrowheads, and that's my bad ones. That's the ones I just show
Wow.
people. I got some in a safe, 4 and 5 inches long, beautiful point.
Wow.
Wow.
Is
Oh,
that why?
amazing.
Is that why I keep finding pennies?
Yep, maybe. Now, if it's a memorial, it'll be at least 12 inches deep. I don't know how the memorials get so deep. You'll
and
swear you got at least a weedy, and bam, out comes a memorial.
And on my knocks, sometimes they ring up like 25, 26, thinking I maybe have a dime or something. Nope.
I did the same thing with the pro. Same thing with
You
the
gotta start ordering your VDIs and your Simplex.
pro. Yeah.
All right, guys. So, is there anything special you want to share or any advice you want to give? Because I know Brandon had a recording and a picture, and then that phone died and he didn't have a backup.
Ah,
Yeah.
Always have a
No,
backup.
no.
yeah, we learned our lesson from one of our investigations about always
Yeah.
having a backup.
Yeah, because it happens.
Yeah.
Well, one of our recent investigations, we had a great EVP going on, and with something quite dark,
Yep.
and none of the pictures came out. None of the EVPs is just static,
Yep. It corrupted the files
and
and everything.
there's nothing there. And we had multiple recorders, so even sometimes when you have multiple equipment there, doesn't necessarily if it depending on what you're dealing with.
Yeah. But as for advice, I'd say, for those of you who are tuning in for the metal detecting aspect of the show, and that the same goes for those who are tuning in for the paranormal aspect. Always approach whatever you're doing with the greatest and utmost respect for who it is or what it is you're checking out.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And pay it forward with the history. Don't go in there and, I'm not going to name names on channels, but those of you who, have been around and seen YouTube enough to know who I'm talking about or what I'm referring to, don't go in there with the guise of, okay, I'm going to find all this great stuff and I'm going to either hold on to it or pawn it. And I'm not even going to worry about giving it back to the landowner or the rightful owner of whatever it is. I've seen guys
or the historical society.
I've seen guys have gone to abandoned cabins and just literally tear the place apart looking for crap, and no respect for what they're doing, and all they're looking for are those likes and those monetized and all that crap. And that's not what it's about. It's not what we do.
100%.
But see, the thing that does too is,
it gives us a bad name as metal detectors too.
Exactly. Somebody else that's going to come in after them is going to want to, ask maybe somebody permission, and they're going to go, you know what? Now I had a really bad experience with the last person.
Yeah. And that's even if there was a permission. I've seen some of these streams with these younger kids that go in there, and God only knows if they actually have permission to be going where they're going.
Right.
They'll parade around, take their girlfriend. Oh, check this out! I just found this when I was driving along. Let's tear it up and see what we can find. It's not good for our hobby. For not saying that ghost hunting is a hobby either, but for our profession, for your profession, for anybody around, always respect what the hell you're doing.
Exactly.
Don't go in looking for your quick payout.
Leave the land as you found it.
We don't charge for anything we do. Even with the relic seeking of our team, we don't charge for what we do. We do it as a public service, and and there's a little bit of environmental cleanup in part of that too, because we do magnet fishing and we do everything else. So if we find trash out in the woods while we're detecting, guess what? I always have my finds bag, my drop hit bag, and I always have like a shotgun shell carrier, and all my trash goes in that shotgun shell carrier in my back of my belt, and that's we haul everything out.
Yeah. And as far as the paranormal side of it, I think, again, just respect, not just respect for any ghosts or spirits or energy that's there, but respect for the property, for the land, for the situation that you're in, for your fellow investigators and anyone else in the field. Just have respect. And really, I am a skeptic as well, but go into it with an open mind.
Yep.
When you go into anything in life with an open mind, I think it opens up your eyes a lot more than it would to keep that mind so closed. And I think you learn a lot more and experience a lot more with an open mind than you would with that closed off. Oh, it could never be this.
Yeah.
And you can apply that to anything.
And I'll add to that too is, when for those of you who are tuning in for the paranormal aspect of it, and even for the metal detecting aspect of it, where it's going to blend over a little bit, don't get your mindset when you get on the site you're going to detect or the site you're going to investigate. Don't change your mindset there to, oh, I'm going to have respect for whatever. You better have that mindset before you even leave your house. When you're starting your research, because guess what? Whatever's there, it's intelligent enough to know whether you're full of BS or not. And, we've even had that in investigations where, just because you're not doing an EVP session right that very minute, things you're observing, everything around you is observing and understanding what's going on. They're intelligent enough to know what the hell's going on. So, always have that respect before you even walk out the door in the morning.
They were people once too. So,
Right.
And Brandon, I want to give you kudos
Yeah.
for the whole penny idea.
Yeah,
I
that's,
think that
that's
is
definitely paying it
absolutely
forward. That's
fabulous.
amazing.
That is
Yeah.
you know, kudos.
Yeah, and Brandon, if you ever want to talk about some of the stuff you see, just contact me and we'll have a chat and
Yep.
try to
Yep.
see if we can figure out some things that are going on down there for you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Give us a
Yeah.
shout. Give Sandy a shout. Whoever. You
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I'd love.
We have a question in
without
the
a doubt.
chat. It relates to what you were basically just saying, but she's saying she's going to a 1800s house
Mhm.
where a house used to be to
Mhm.
detect. And
Mhm.
is there anything she should do or say or mindset she should be in when she goes?
Just be positive. You know,
positive.
just come in with respect. You know,
And-
if you feel it, and if you feel it's going to be a thing, you know, just say a nice little prayer. You know, just showing that respect and hey, I'm here to tell your story.
Right. I was
I'm
going
here
to say,
to, you know,
don't be afraid to, and it's going to feel uncomfortable the first few times
Yeah.
you do it, but just speak it openly as though they're standing in front of you.
Yep.
And say, this is what I'm doing. I want to tell your story.
Yep.
Would you help me find some things that will help me tell your story to either the historical society or the current owners or whatever the case may be.
It's like Deej when she does her pottery searches, and like even when Mark did his when he was at that cellar hole, he was telling us about, you know, when he showed that respect, you know, he got it back tenfold.
Yeah.
You know, and that's
I've
the
actually-
biggest
I
thing.
always do that. Always do
Yeah.
that.
I've actually been in cemeteries where we've been geocaching and I can't for the life of me find this cache. And I'll actually ask the people in the cemetery to kind of point me in the right direction.
Yeah.
And 9 times out of 10, I find it within
Yep.
about 30 seconds.
Yeah,
It's
it works.
amazing.
It
Yeah.
absolutely works.
Yep.
I
And
agree.
some might think it's, you know, a little bit of, you know, hokey pokey voodoo,
Yeah.
but you know, for us it works.
All I
you
can
know?
tell you is
Go
my
with
You have
own
what
to be
works.
experience.
open. You have to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
open.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
If Audra goes in the cemetery and asks somebody which direction to go and they answer her back, she's gone.
I mean,
God.
the only other thing I could say for this individual that's going to this homestead is, you know, if you're religious in any way or you have a belief system, you know, if you have something that's near and dear to you that kind of represents that or represents what you believe in or your faith, wear that with you. Sue always has, you know, her we call them talismans on the team. You know, she's got her cross, she's got her talisman. You know, I always have mine on. You know, just something that is part of your belief system and your spiritualness in a sense.
Mine
And
goes
that'll-
with me everywhere I go. It's
Yep.
right there.
And
Yeah,
there
I
you
saw
go.
that. I saw that.
Yep.
I like that very
And
much.
you know, and that's how it is. You know, we have one of our senior members in the team. You know, he's another founding member with me and Sue. His name is Matt, and he always has a set of prayer beads with him when he goes on investigations, and that's just who he is. You know, we call him our shaman, so to speak, our medicine man for the team.
Malas.
But yeah, but he
Yeah.
always has his prayer beads with him, and that is, you know, he protects the whole damn team with what he does,
Mhm.
and that's his talisman that he brings with him.
And a lot
Everybody
of
has
it, a lot of it isn't. I have black tourmaline with me all the time.
Yeah, I was
Black
going to say
tourmaline.
sometimes it's crystals, sometimes
Yep.
it's
When I go on
medallion,
investigation, I have this. I keep my tourmaline in my pockets, and you know that's enough.
Crystal's
So-
energy.
Exactly.
right.
Absolutely.
Very much so.
Absolutely.
I have
Have it.
three. I have three on me right now.
Yep.
All right, Brandon, is there anything else you wanted to share?
You know, I remember my first experience metal detecting. I'd been detecting probably for about a year. I was down at what used to be a public works building and in the 1870s, and it was turned into an elementary school. And I was detecting, and I felt somebody tap me on my shoulder, and I fully expected to turn around and get cussed out. I just knew somebody was about to take a strip out of me for detecting on this public property.
Mhm.
And I turned around and wasn't nobody there, and chill bumps went from head to toe.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Well, that's-
spooked me out. Now, it wasn't enough for me to leave because I was metal detecting. I just got to fight the devil for a simple
Right.
thing. But I did go on the other side of the field and metal detect there. And also, I have that little clip. I don't know if I ever included it in a video or not. If not, I might upload it, trim it down, and make it a short.
Yeah, do it.
But I had found a location that I used to hunt beside when I was a kid. It was a house there, and the only thing that remained was just a small section a bedroom or a living room that stuck off to the side, and I could hear what sounded like a child walking in that little room.
Residual
And
energy.
at first, I thought I'm going crazy, of course, but I stopped detecting. I wouldn't hear it.
Yep.
I start back detecting. I could hear the little patter of feet, and I turned my camera on. I try to catch that footage, but all you get is just me standing there waiting for something to happen. Never could get it on film, but now when I turned the camera off, I would hear it again, and it was clear as day. It was like a kid facing in that room.
They're playing with you.
They were.
Never could figure it out to the day.
Well, and that's why I asked Mark in the first part. I was like, "Are you sure it was a human that was actually telling you, hey, I found some harmonic reeds over there in that cellar hole?" Because it's not out of the ordinary for out of left field for something like that to happen.
Right.
Ask Sandy; she'll tell you about your experience down at Gettysburg.
Oh, I was down in Gettysburg, and I love Gettysburg. Where I make my husband drive the battlefield with me each day. We're there twice, once in the morning and once in the evening. And we were driving one day. There was no reenacting going on anywhere in the battlefield. We were driving down near Little Round Top and Devil's Den, and we saw these 3 teenage boys walking towards us in costume, or what we thought was costume. One had a drum, one had an American flag, and one had something that looked like a gun at the time. And they were half on the road, half off the road, just staring straight ahead, walking. And they were walking towards us, and I made my husband stop. And they walked right past us, didn't look at us, didn't acknowledge us at all, walked right past us. There was no reenacting going on the battlefield that day. So I don't know if it was human or a live human or what it was, but it's kind of head scratching because you just don't know. You just don't know.
I seen that footage of the soldiers in the woods at Gettysburg.
Yeah.
I mean, that's straight real. You can feel.
Yeah.
They have seen
you from there.
They have seen complete battalions of soldiers in the fields
Mm-hmm.
at the battlefield. Full on battalions.
They've seen that.
Yeah, I was going to say that the same type of occurrences have happened.
Some of
up
those
here.
fields that you were metal detecting in Shazy,
yeah,
there are reports of people seeing full battalions walking through those fields.
Yeah,
no, we have there's several unmarked graves from Battle of 1812, and even there was actually a Civil War bivouac just north of where we are now in Potsdam, and there's been multitudes of reports of, hey, we see somebody dressed up in Civil War costume walking on the side of the road or walking across the road and disappearing into the woods. It happens a lot. So
well, in this little town, my grandma used to tell me, I live in a little mining town, and in the 1850s, 1860s, it was a little rough town. It was a mining town. And my grandmother's father used to tell her a story. This little town's broke down in 25 by 125 foot lots, and each lot had a little single story Victorian house on it. Just all down through there. Every little lot did. And the next street over, there was 3 houses beside each other, and the center neighbor had disputes with both neighbors on each side.
Yeah,
he actually got physical with the one on one side of the other. I'm not sure, but got physical with one of them. And, of course, the cops came out, or the people, whatever it was,
the sheriff,
whoever took care of the town, came out, broke everything up. Oh, y'all need to calm it down or whatever. And the guy who had the issue with the one guy, he told me, he said, I'm going to get you if no matter what. Well, about a week or two, maybe longer, rocks on, and this guy is found dead at his piano with his throat cut.
No kidding.
They took the guy to prison who swore that he would get him. Well, come to find out that the guy's throat was cut from left to right, and the guy who didn't go to jail, the other guy he had an issue with, I know this confusion, but he was left-handed, and the guy who went to prison was right-handed.
So the wrong guy went to prison.
Sitting at a piano?
This is a way I could get rid of him, and haven't
Wow.
found on other dude. But yeah,
Yeah.
and
Wow.
there was a body found in the ironworks in the 20s around here that had been chopped up with an axe. So there's just so much
Yeah.
going on right here. No
I was
telling.
going to say, if it's a mining
to do.
town, there was
There was all
whether
kinds of violence and trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
whether it was
Well, even
Wow.
even up here with some of the, because there's a few old mining areas up here too.
Lion Mountain.
Lion Mountain, Tahaj,
Yeah.
stuff like that, and those are heavy paranormal hotspots.
Yeah.
Where we went investigated in Saranac Lake, for where the Hotel Saranac is and stuff like that. I don't know if you caught some of our other podcasts. In the 20s, it was the major go-to for the entire country and parts of the world to go to Saranac Lake to cure for tuberculosis. Dr. Trudeau set up shop in Saranac Lake, and it was kind of the mecca. So there was so much death and trauma, basically.
Yeah.
It was the
People
gateway
were
for the living
literally
and the
taking
dead.
there were so many people coming in. And just like any other situation, the people are trying to make money off of
Yep.
it. They were literally turning their houses into cure cottages.
Yep.
And literally Saranac Lake, there isn't a house you can look at unless it's modernly built that wasn't a cure cottage.
Yep.
The entire village was one giant, and then it kind of spread out of town.
It grew out of the village.
And then any inns that were outside of town, they became cure cottages as well.
Any house on the upper levels of the village that have wraparound porches that are enclosed now, they were open back then.
Yeah.
That was how they cured tuberculosis back then, was the cold winter mountain air. And that's, that was the claim to fame for Saranac Lake for forever.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Was tuberculosis.
Well, my little town, it was going to be Birmingham. That's why everything's broke off in those small lots. Our hotel was the first hotel with running water and indoor plumbing in Alabama. It was going to be Birmingham, and then they hit a larger vein of ore in Birmingham, what is now Birmingham, and we had been burnt down 2 times, so that just sort of did away with it.
Wow.
Yeah, your town's got a lot of
so kind of like Santa Clara, the original Santa Clara that got raised due to the plague.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to getting Bobby, maybe Audra too, and anybody who wants to come on down. We'll do some digging.
That's
road trip.
Sure.
I'm always looking forward to it.
Road trip.
Well, we'll probably go down during the non-summer months because we Yankees got real thick blood.
Us mountain folk up here, we can't handle it.
Hot the last time I was there.
I was down in June, and it was. I don't know if I can handle
don't
this.
care if you say it's dry heat or not dry heat. It's heat in
Down
general.
during
We
the
just
winter.
can't handle that.
We definitely got a different type of heat here.
Yes.
I used to
Yes,
go stay a month in Los Angeles, and it was hot there, no doubt, but it was a dry hot. Here in Alabama, it's just humid and hot. It'd be 90 degrees and feel like 100.
I will tell you, I used to have really wavy hair, and it went. Poof, it was beautiful.
All right, guys, we're going over a little bit. So I did share your Twitters and Facebook and
Thank you.
Brandon's
Awesome.
YouTube.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Please
You guys-
feel free in the comments to share anything you'd like. On my page, share anything you'd like. I think you guys are awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We loved
Thank you
it.
very
This
much.
is so much fun. Thank you
It
for
was
asking.
great meeting all of you. It was fantastic.
Yeah, I know.
And maybe somewhere in the near future, you guys go out and do whether you do private homes or maybe another hotel or something like that. Please, we'd love to have you guys back and hear what you guys are up to.
Oh, for
I'd
sure.
Love to.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
Sounds like a plan.
Definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be more joint investigations in our future too. My
Oh, yeah.
team and the Epps team, so it'll be
yeah.
fun.
That's pretty much in the cards with with
I think
the
so.
team, so I think Dennis planned it that way.
We
Yeah.
signed our the deal in blood, so there's no
That's
turning
right.
back.
Strength in numbers.
But thank you guys,
sure.
and thank you, Brandon, for sharing your stories with us. That was amazing.
Thank you for having me
Appreciate
on.
it.
It's good to meet everybody.
Yes,
Honey,
you too.
you're
Good to
a
meet you
true
guys,
Southern
too.
gentleman. Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Yes.
to meet
Thank you guys again, and have a
Take
great
care.
night. Please come
Yes.
back anytime.
you.
You
All
too.
right.
Thank you,
Definitely.
guys.
Good
Thanks
night,
for having
guys.
us.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Peace.
Night, guys.
Night.
Good night, Brandon. All right, dude. Great show, huh?
It was actually, I'm a little,
We're still live, just so you know.
I was very pleasantly surprised. I was, you go and, you go into, I went into it with an open mind. I wasn't closed. So I think that allowed me to kind of, it was actually, I was a little captivated, actually.
It really was. And
It
they're
was.
right, you know,
Yeah.
go in with respect.
Yeah.
And I really liked
Absolutely.
it. I like them. I think they're great.
Yeah, we have too many people, and you know, you and I both see it. You know, where they don't respect the history.
No.
You know, even like when I go on like ID me or something, if I find something, a button or a coin, and I'm having trouble with it, some of the comments you see, you know, oh, what's it worth? Well, it's priceless, dude. I found it. It doesn't matter what it's worth. I don't sell my stuff.
Yeah, and they're exactly right too. That's how it should be with what they do and with detecting. And I like how they link it together. I mean, he was really saying some cool stuff.
It was, you know, hey, anytime you can
Really
throw metal
agree with
detecting in with anything else, it's going to be good.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
So thanks to Deej for putting this together and asking us to be a part of it.
Absolutely.
If you missed her stream,
I'm gonna go back and watch
it. Yeah, man. It was really
yeah,
good.
I was at work and I had to run over to the new place and bring some stuff over there and cable. The Xfinity showed up around 5 o'clock. So
yeah, and let me know if you need help with anything.
Pretty much, we just got to get bedroom stuff out. We got pretty much everything over.
So that's good.
Good, yeah. So we should be done with everything. We should have everything done and over before Friday. Yeah. So, but yeah, I was very pleasantly. I mean, I never go into too much with expectations.
I know you weren't, and so I'm really happy to hear.
Yeah, and not to mention they were just good people too.
Absolutely were.
Absolutely.
They were great.
Absolutely. And Sue's got, was it Susan or Sue?
Her
name?
Sue, yeah.
Right? Yeah. See, she got that little, she's got that little rebel in her. I like it.
They were all great. I love it. What do we got in store next weekend, dude?
Oh, you mean next Tuesday?
Yes.
Oh, the dynamic duo. Gypsy
and Amanda. So
absolutely.
Join us next week, dudes. Thank you all for joining us this week. Next week, special guest Gypsy.
Yep.
And Amanda Diggaz.
All right. And then Chris, in answer to your question earlier, what about the Jersey Devil? I am the Jersey Devil. Mystery solved. Mystery solved.
All right, dude. You ready?
Ready.
All right, guys. Everybody, thank you again for joining us. We truly appreciate it. Have a great night, all. See you next week.
Peace.